Major Mohammed Ali Shah is joining me on the broadcast for the story. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, very good morning. What is your reaction on this warning that has been issued by US? Is it an exaggeration or is it a quick and a fast move?
Oh, well, it's definitely a fast move, and also, as they say, prevention is always better than cure. But having said that, I would say one more thing, that I think US is slightly overreacting here. And it's a bit far-fetched that, 20th February, the Beijing Olympics will get over. Before that, another 24 or 48 hours, when they are asking their diplomats and the citizens from there to vacate immediately from Ukraine. And as Ambassador Deepak Bora had once earlier said, and I still remember that those words, and it makes so much sense, that it's also a kind of a pressure tactic. That listen, this is what we can do. Now, secondly, Anthony Blinken, at the Quad meeting in Melbourne recently, just spoke about the build-up that Russian troops are doing against Ukraine, 1 lakh troops. That's nothing compared to the build-up that China is doing against India. There was no mention on that. He was totally mum on that. Now, Jake Sullivan also said that we are totally ready to support them. In fact, they are probably the Pentagon is sending out 3,000 more troops in support of Poland, which is on the border of Germany, Slovakia, Czech Republic and Russia. So they are sending out those troops in support as well. So most certainly, I really do not, and of course the German Chancellor, he had spoken, Olaf Scholz, he has also spoken about it, and we had just about 10 days, 2 weeks back, we had the German Chief of the Naval Staff, where he had to, it was big news, where he had to offer his resignation, in fact, thereafter, for saying that Russia will never attack Ukraine. Why would they be interested in that strip? All Vladimir Putin wants is respect. So yes, I think US is also, it's a fast move, yes, no doubt, and also slightly overreacting on that. They could have, in fact, imagine we were just speaking about Quad when you were in conversation with Ambassador Deepak Bora. So there in Quad, the basic idea was to preempt China from getting more aggressive. That was the basic ideology behind when the formation of Quad had taken place. In fact, when the initial inception had taken place of Quad, where Australia, Japan, India and America will also train their fighter pilots in the Anderson Air Force Base in America. So they would also be a kind of a semi-militarization of Quad as well. So now when US is actually withdrawing their people from the Europe, because see, one more thing which I learned from a very wise man just some time back was also that see, China and India, China is building up troops against India, but the US would not be interested much in that. They would be interested because Europe, no, because Ukraine, Russia is Europe. So yes, US interests are there. Now the oil prices have surged. Now it is a tough time, and there is a gas pipeline also over there, which we had spoken some time back earlier as well. So yes, it is a challenge, but US is taking all its preventive measures to see that no damage is taken, and also to send across a message not only to Russia but to the entire world. Now, addressing 6 of the European national leaders, they were in fact the French President Macron would be speaking to the Russian Vladimir Putin on this as well. And people are trying to tell Vladimir Putin to please behave himself. And let's see let's wait and what happens. But having said that, I would conclude by saying that yes, I really personally, that's my belief, I do not think that Russia will have the courage to go against the international community and go and attack Ukraine like what they did in 2014 with Crimea, for that matter, Priyanka.
Alright, so by when can we see an end to this crisis? Because we have been speaking about it for a long time now. We spoke to Ukrainians on NewsX. We also spoke to Russians on NewsX. So how and when are we looking to an end to this crisis? By when? Until when are we going to see these warnings that the attacks might take place in 48 hours or 72 hours? When is this going to end?
A very good question by you. Let me begin by answering this in this way. That the Russian and the American, the Cold War was what happened way back. I can give the date. It was like really, go back in history. But now, once again, the tensions are building up there. India and Pakistan, when will we get peace? India and China, when will we get peace? When will they actually come? Will this tension end? When will terrorism in Jammu Kashmir, though we made a progress, but when would that end? Similarly, these tensions, I think it is, see, when your neighbors, any neighbors for that matter, there is a bit of friction, there is a bit of tension that always happens. In fact, if brothers stay in the same house, there is a friction over there as well. In a joint family, I'm giving an example. Similarly, so now when will these tensions end? Good question by you. Well, it can be curbed to a large extent. Well, I think if France and Germany, they were bitter enemies during the World War. In fact, on 24 December 1918, they had a football match at the no man's land. But the next morning, they were back to fighting at each other. And when they became friends, both the countries started booming in their respective economies together. Because united we stand, divided we fall. Now, when will these tensions end? Well, one cannot really say. But yes, at the same time, prevention better than cure. And let's wait and see, by 20th February is like really far-fetched. It's just around the corner when the Beijing Olympics end. But now, when will these friction end? That is something which actually the international community is actually watching closely. And I don't think Vladimir Putin is going to be foolish enough, though he has acted in a haste many times by deploying these 1 lakh troops at the Ukraine border. There was no matlab hi nahi tha us baat ka. So now let's wait and see what exactly it actually leads to ultimately.
All right, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, thank you for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your views on this pertinent story.